I read 9 books in the 6th week of 2026, so let's go over my thoughts and ratings. Dead First by Johnny Compton is a horror book that follows a private investigator named Shyla who is blackmailed by a billionaire into figuring out why he can't die. I was very intrigued by the premise right away. We're introduced to our FMC Shyla, who very clearly has her own secrets, and I was very interested in figuring out what those were. This grabbed my attention immediately. I actually heard about this book in June of 2025 when I met Johnny Compton at StokerCon. He did a reading for this book, and I was just like, I need to get my hands on that book as soon as possible, and so I was so thrilled when his publisher sent me a copy. This is a supernatural horror noir investigative style mystery thriller that is full of some brutal dark scenes, shocking secrets, dysfunctional relationships, and absolutely mind-boggling moments. It's smart, it is pretty fast-paced, and it had me on the edge of my seat. Dead First is darkly atmospheric, violent, and so entertaining. I rated it 4.25 stars. First Date by Gemma Moore is a horror thriller that follows Amandine who goes on a first date with a guy named Connor, and during is targeted by an unalive who goes after happy couples. This is a held captive thriller that had me quite intrigued in the beginning, but unfortunately quickly lost me. While I thought Amandine was very relatable, she's neurodivergent and just pretty awkward, I, for whatever reason, had a really hard time connecting with her character beyond that and with any of the other characters in the book. And even though this book has several tropes that I enjoy, such as the held in captivity trope and stalker trope, I just, for whatever reason, wasn't into it like at all. This is a fast-paced horror thriller. It's mostly plot-driven, and I just really couldn't get into it no matter how hard I tried. I honestly just didn't think that there was anything very unique about it. I thought it was relatively straightforward and predictable, and I don't know, maybe I just wasn't invested enough in the characters and their relationship because they were only on their first date, but I just didn't feel that sense of urgency that I should in a held captive and stalker thriller horror. I don't think it's a bad book, I just don't think it was for me. I rated it 2 stars. I then did a segment of Best or Worst Thriller Books reading vlog, and I read That Night by Chevy Stevens, which I rated 4.25 stars, and Only Their Clothes Remained by Margot Garote. It's available on Kindle Unlimited, 1.5 stars. If you're interested in my thoughts on either of these books, you can go ahead and watch that reading vlog. How to Get Away with Murder by Rebecca Phillipson publishes on February 24th, and it follows a Scotland Yard detective named Sam as she tracks down the author of a self-help book called How to Get Away with Murder because she believes it was used as inspiration for a recent unaliving. Throughout this thriller, we follow Sam as she investigates, and we also get actual chapters from the self-help book How to Get Away with Murder. I thought this was a unique, smart, and very well-paced thriller. I was engaged throughout the entirety. I thought this was very unexpectedly twisty. I thought the characters were well fleshed out. I actually felt connected to them. Even the serial unaliver, I also had a sense of connection with, partly because I think he was kind of like dryly funny. There were perfectly placed red herrings throughout that really kept me guessing and definitely threw me off course. And overall, I thought this was a really well done thriller. The way that everything connects in the end just completely blew my mind. If you like police procedural thrillers, books about books, and smart thrillers with shocking twists, you definitely have to check this one out. I rated it 4.25 stars. She Thought She Was Safe by Terry Parlato follows Emma, who just got divorced and whose mother just passed away, when she connects with her estranged father, whom she's never met, who happens to be a famous author. Wanting to work on her own writing, she decides she's going to go and visit him when one of her father's neighbors winds up unalived, and Emma is thrown into the deep, dark secrets of her father's community. There are so many dark secrets that are explored and revealed in this story that start to spark up some of Emma's own dark memories. This book is full of dysfunctional family dynamics and it will have you questioning how well you know your neighbors. While I was able to guess the ending of this book, I thought it was really fast-paced and engaging, and I was entertained throughout. I would say I'm somebody who doesn't typically read romance books or gravitate towards like romantic suspense books, but this one does have a subplot of romance that I did rather enjoy. I think my main issue with this book, and this is kind of a common thing that I have with books like this, is when there's an outsider whose perspective we're following and they're inserted into an already established community of people. I feel like we don't get enough information on the inner workings of the established community and the people within it and like what drives them and motivates them, since we're getting it from the POV of somebody who is like not a part of that community, if that makes sense. That being said, I still thought this was entertaining, even though I think it could have benefited from multiple POVs of people that are actually a part of the established community. This was solid, but I wasn't obsessed. I rated it 3.25 stars. Dollface by Lindy Ryan publishes on February 24th, and it follows a horror author named Jill who just moved to a new town and is trying to make friends with the PTA moms, when the group is unfortunately targeted by a masked unaliver. I thought this was a really entertaining satirical slasher. It was witty and ridiculous and just a lot of fun. You definitely have to enjoy like campy horror to enjoy this one because it just gets a little bit like so far-fetched and ridiculous. But if you can get on board with that, then I think you'll have a good time reading this one. While the women are like kind of caricatures of PTA moms, they're, you know, catty, self-centered, and not very deep people, I found myself really invested in the different dynamics that they had going on. I definitely had a theory of where I thought this was going, and honestly, I think my idea of where I thought it was going would have been a little bit more satisfying than where it actually went. I overall just had a really good time while I was reading this and didn't mind it at all. Yeah, I just walked away from that experience thinking, wow, that was a really fun time. So I rated it 3.75 stars. The Ravine by Maya Chance is available on Kindle Unlimited, and it follows a devoted stepmother and wife named Harlow who wants to conceive a child with her husband, but has been unable to do so. That's when the family decides they are going to uproot their lives and move to the island that Harlow's husband Gregor grew up on. But once they get there, it becomes pretty clear that things aren't quite right, and those feelings are only confirmed when Harlow stumbles across what she believes is evidence of a brutal unaliving. She then dives headfirst into investigating rumors of missing girls and bloody rituals. This is kind of a folk horror, culty, unaliving, investigative style book with a suburban feel to it simultaneously. It's darkly atmospheric, unsettling, and it had me hooked from the very beginning until the very end. The Ravine was a trippy, bloody, and good time. I really enjoyed it, and I rated it 4 stars. Nothing Tastes as Good by Luke Dumas publishes on March 31st, and it follows Emmett, who has always struggled with his image. He's always been overweight, and he's always felt really insecure about this when he gets enrolled in a secretive weight loss program. The weight starts falling off, but of course it comes with its repercussions, and the people who were once cruel to Emmett are now disappearing. This book follows Emmett as he's going through his weight loss journey and descending into a little bit of madness. It has some mixed media such as blog posts, journal entries, news clipping, and interviews with those who were close to Emmett. This was bloody brilliant in my opinion. I had such a good time with this. I really enjoyed the social commentary on beauty standards. I really loved the queer rep, and I really enjoyed the unaliving aspects. This was utterly gripping. It was so unique, unlike anything I've read before, and I just had such a blast with it. I'm sitting here trying to figure out if I have anything negative to say about this book, and I truly can't think of a single thing. This is freaking weird, unsettling, unhinged, and just amazing. I honestly feel like I could rave about this book for so long. The more and more I think about it, the more I love it, and the ending totally shocked me. I'm gonna have to rate this book 5 stars. Thank you so much for watching. Now please leave me a comment and let me know your favorite book that you read last week. Mine, of course, is Nothing Tastes as Good by Luke Dumas.